Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories today, breaking news, as a matter of fact, from the Daily Wire. Supreme Court rules Trump can't be kicked off Colorado ballot. So finally, some clarity here. The Supreme Court issued a ruling on Monday that determined that the state of Colorado cannot remove former President Donald Trump from the primary ballot using Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, and as Obama used to say, let me be clear, the left, the establishment, the Democrats know exactly what Article 3 of the 14th Amendment, or Section 3 as they say here of the 14th Amendment, they know exactly what it means. It was designed to ensure that Confederate officers could not run for president. That's what it was designed for. That's what is mentioned in the history books. That is what's mentioned in our constitutional history. Now, it's not the be-all of all definitions, but it certainly addresses the fact that a president has a process. There is a process to convict a president. We'll get into that here momentarily. All 9 justices agreed with the decision, so it was unanimous. Colorado's primary is set to take place on Tuesday, March the 5th. Big win for America, Trump said in a post to Truth Social. Colorado voters challenged Trump's eligibility over his actions leading up to the U.S. Capitol breach of January 6, 2021. 6 Colorado people. 6 Colorado people. Okay? It was 6 people that brought it up. Colorado Supreme Court issued a 4-3 ruling in December that found Trump to be disqualified from holding the office of the president. So now you know that 4 of the 3 people there in the Supreme Court of Colorado are just wrong. And they play this game, this absurd, ridiculous game, because they either think people are too dumb to understand what's going on, or that people are too lazy, or maybe don't desire to research it, right? They're in authority. They're in power. They say something, you're supposed to believe it. But it's absurd to think that you could just take what people say oftentimes just at face value. Because as we can see here, how is it that the Supreme Court ruled unanimously on the fact that Donald Trump can't be removed, yet the Colorado Supreme Court ruled 43 that he should have been removed, and of course based upon 6 people in Colorado that didn't want him on there? Obviously, it's politics. Citing Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, an insurrection clause dating back to the Civil War, the ruling said Trump should not appear on the primary ballot. Yes, because, see, they have to mention the Civil War, but they don't go into the detail of the fact that it was specifically directed at officers of the Confederacy. It's amazing, is it not? The intentional cherry picking of law, the cherry picking of how it's disseminated and the information is distributed, which is kind of why I went with the Daily Wire. But here we go over to CNN, of course, who's having all kinds of problems. They're getting rid of Anderson Cooper. They're getting rid of Jack Tapper. They're getting rid of Chris Wallace. Ah, man, lots of things going on over there at CNN. So all 5 justice, a 5-justice majority, Chief Justice Roberts, Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch and Kavanaugh wrote that states may not remove any federal officers from the ballot, especially the president, without Congress first passing legislation. Absolutely. It has to go through Congress. We have a system. We have a method of addressing issues that are done by the president. If the president does something while in his office, right, under his authority, he does something wrong, it goes to Congress, they find him guilty, it gets passed off to the Department of Justice, and then of course there's a trial. There's a process for this. It's not up to the states to decide in that particular instance. We conclude that states may disqualify persons holding or attempting to hold state office, but states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially the presidency, the opinion stated. So we conclude that states may disqualify persons holding or attempting to hold state office in some instances, but states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to the federal offices, especially the presidency, the opinion states. Noting in the Constitution, okay, so nothing, I'm sorry, I had to scratch my eye here, guys. Nothing in the Constitution delegates to the states any power to enforce Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates. The majority added. Big win for America. Trump, of course, as we just said. So here you have it. Nothing in the Constitution delegates to the states any power to enforce Section 3 against federal officers and candidates. There you have it. Right there. And this is CNN. This is CNN, right? It's amazing, is it not? Now, of course, they're all angry about it, especially the Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold. So let's see what she has to say.
My larger reaction is disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists. And ultimately, this decision leaves open the door for Congress to act, to pass authorizing legislation. But we know that Congress is a nearly non-functioning body. So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November. My larger reaction...
Okay, so when she says our Constitution, she means the state's Constitution, not the Constitution of the United States. So it's important to note here that a Constitution of a state does not supersede the Constitution of the United States. Now, because we have separations of power in the United States, the federal government can't impose certain laws and actions against a state, right? This is how we have balances of power. But when she's saying that... when she's mentioning the Constitution, she's talking about the Constitution of her state, because each state has their own Constitution as well. So, of course, here in the United States, of course, as we've talked about, we have balances of power, the federal government and state government. But a state Constitution does not supersede the Constitution. And as she just said, whether or not she agrees with Congress or not, whether she's disappointed or not, we have a process in place. She is correct about Congress. Congress needs to address this. It is up to Congress that makes this decision. It's not up to the state. Right? It's not up to the state to decide how our Constitution of the United States is run, particularly from a state. Now, a state, as I said earlier from the Daily Wire, they can make certain state decisions and certain state rulings. But let's say, for example, they remove Trump off the ballot. For example, they just do it, right? Because counties, I think, can actually do things like that. That doesn't mean that he can't be written in, right? You can still write in the decision. As you see here, I like how Alex Jones was mentioning 9-0 against weaponizing the judiciary, and I agree 100%. You know, this was just a carrot on the stick. This was just something they were dangling along just to get Trump's name in the headlines. And it's the same thing with all of these cases, all of these legal cases against him, this lawfare. The establishment isn't even concerned if something happens with Trump retrospectively. They just need his name in the headlines to paint as much negativity on Donald Trump as possible. They weren't concerned about Fani Willis here in Georgia being able to complete her investigation. They only need his name in the spotlight as much as possible, and that's exactly what is continuing to happen. But this ruling from the Supreme Court, 9-0, is a major slap in the face to these absurdly ridiculous states that continue playing this game of Donald Trump is an insurrectionist, this, that, and the other. We have processes that determine whether or not a president, has committed a crime of this nature, and we've already seen that the Congress or the Senate ruled that he was not involved or was not part of the insurrection or incited an insurrection, as we have talked about here many times. But I want to thank all you guys across New Tech for your guys' continued support. BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, amazing. Thank you so much for the likes, the shares, and the comments. And, of course, everybody here on YouTube, thank you so very much for all of your guys' continued support. Below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to. Make sure you follow me there. And, of course, if you are an Amazon Prime member or order frequently from Amazon or decide you want a VPN, all those options are down there, and every one of those options helps out the channel. So thank you so much, guys, for the likes, the shares, and the comments. Those help the channel a lot as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see all you guys in appearing there on the screen would be the channel icon that you can click on here to subscribe on YouTube, as well as notifications. That way you'll know when there's content on the channel. And now I can say I'll see all you guys in the next video.